For as long as GTA Online has been around, there's always been this big conquest about getting a map expansion, and then rumors floating around the beginning of the year when the DLCs are nowhere to be seen and are not going to be here for a little while. Obviously, the city that gets mentioned the most in this is Liberty City. So today I thought it would be fun to kind of go over my personal reasons as to why I don't personally think why this will ever happen to the game. But before we continue, a message from our sponsor. Grand RP, a place to fulfill all your wildest dreams. Want to fight the law but the law won?
I'm going to jail!
Break out of prison, join one of the 5 gangs.
Jail!
Leave criminal life, become farmer. Whether you want to farm cows on meth or fight crime, Grand RP has something for everyone. With an ever-evolving server with frequent updates and over 350 cars to choose from, Grand RP will send you on an adventure that you've always dreamed of. And with the latest global update that they just released, Grand RP has gotten even better. With new government buildings, war maps, animations, apartments, vehicles, speed radar, unique truck for truckers, a new family event, and pets! Yes! Doggies! There's never been a better time to join Grand RP than right now, so make sure to click the referral link within the description down below and get yourself some free Grand coins. And thank you Grand RP for sponsoring this video. It should go without saying that if there ever were to be a map expansion on the size of Liberty City, I personally think that would be a great thing to happen. I would personally be excited for it. There's a few things though to keep in mind with a map expansion like this going to an entirely new city, because if you think back at how large the Liberty City is, you also have to keep in mind that just purely having it in free mode just to drive around in will not really be worth all that effort and time. If you were to make the jump and have that Liberty City be available within free roam and or more within GTA Online, you would have to cover a bunch of things. You would basically have to make an entirely new game for a few simple reasons. Currently everything is in Los Santos, and if you think about it, how much there actually is in Los Santos and how little there would be in Liberty City, you kind of start seeing the problem here. GTA Online was solely based on having everything happen within Los Santos. Heck, the new content that they have added after the Cayo Perico heist have only been taking place in Los Santos again. The Cayo Perico Island has been and only will be used for the Cayo Perico heist, because currently at this moment in time, the size and the things you can do on the island do not really justify anything else being able to be done on it. So the only way I could personally see a Liberty City map to be implemented within the game would be for something like a Cayo Perico heist. Heck, you could perhaps go to Algonquin and do a heist in there. And there are a few other reasons as to why I personally think that. The Cayo Perico Island was never added to free roam, solely and most likely because of the old generation consoles. The base version of Xbox One was barely able to handle a 30-player lobby, let alone how that's going to look like if you're going to be adding an entirely new island somewhere off the coast. That is just a recipe for disaster. Have you seen how much of a hard time old gen consoles have with handling the Cayo Perico Island? You're already playing on 30 FPS, and going ever so closer to 20 is something that I'm sure many people don't want to deal with anymore. Something like a next generation of console or PC, it perhaps would make more sense that the island would be available. But based on the fact that the current version of the game, of course being the PS4 and the Xbox Series X versions, Cayo Perico is still nowhere to be found within free roam, and the only way to access it is again through either going to LSIA or by using a Cayo Perico heist setup. So it does start painting a picture. How exactly would they do it for Liberty City? You could go the same route as with Cayo Perico Islands. You could just solely have it as a place to go to by either buying a plane ticket or just having something mission related happening there. But it would beg the question, how are lobbies going to turn out? Because as far as I'm aware, when you go to the party on the island, I believe you tend to go there on your own. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, I don't tend to go there. But Liberty City would be best enjoyed with having all your friends and people within the session on there. But in my personal opinion, as much fun as it is to just drive around the Liberty City again, this wouldn't particularly add anything to the game. You would just simply be left with an empty map with nothing to do in there. Well, everything else would still be in Liberty City. So this would not only split the player base for those folks that just want to drive around in free mode. If you have something like a free mode event, then you would have two separate lobbies essentially within the same lobby, unless they find a better and different way to go and do that. It would also split the player base, so what would happen if people were to lose interest within Liberty City? Would it become a deserted island after a week or two when people lose interest in driving around there, or will people just completely abandon Los Santos for Liberty City? I'm sure it would happen for the first week or two, but I highly doubt that anything else would be particularly done with that map, because it would take such a long time to get all that content that was in Los Santos then transferred over to Liberty City, or at least have a significant portion on there, so whenever you do go to the island, there's actually something that you're able to do other than just doing the swing set glitch for the 25th time. It never becomes boring, but you get what I'm trying to say. As I mentioned previously, the game is on such thin ice, and trying to fix a Chris from Mars cutscene seemed to be breaking a heap of stuff for other people too. Cutscenes and error messages were going out the wazoo, so Rockstar reverted the fix and just decided to leave it the way that it is. GTA Online is a very fragile game that, as far as I'm feeling, is old as dirt and is basically balancing on thin ice here. An expansion like this won't be handled well by the engine at all, at least that's what I'm personally predicting. On top of the problem that is, of course, PS4 and Xbox One. So if this ever were to be a thing, it would have to be on the next gen consoles and PC. But then still, you would have to deal with the older engine, which, as far as I would be assuming, they didn't really do a heap of things with when they released it on PS4 and Xbox Series X. And to be quite blunt about it too, I personally don't think that the game needs and or should get a map expansion, for the simple reason that I don't think it would save the game, and it is just a new place to do the exact same things in that you have been previously. I don't think a map expansion would solve the current dryness of the game. I think most people, at least looking at myself, I'm looking for new things to do, not to do the same things but in a slightly different place. I've been in Liberty City for hundreds or thousands of hours before. I know the city. It's a fantastic city. I have many great memories of GTA 4, but I think Liberty City fit GTA 4, and I don't think it would particularly fit GTA 5. I think, if anything, the contrast of the city and the vehicles and the vibe of GTA 5 would actually just clash with each other. Liberty City is a gritty and dark city, and the clothing and the vehicles and the overall atmosphere fits that city. Meanwhile, Los Santos is just a bit of a party town, and really anything goes. I mean, you got the luxury sports cars and everything like that, and Liberty City is a little bit more pulled back and a little bit more, serious, if you will. At least that's the vibe that I personally get from both cities. GTA Online, like I mentioned before, and a few times I guess, needs something fresh, and especially just something new, perhaps a little bit more frequent. Not a fancy new city where after a week or two we'll probably just get sick of it and go back to doing the same old stuff in Los Santos. Those are just some of my thoughts. Of course, I'd love to know what you think down in the comment section down below. Do you think that Liberty City map expansion would make sense, or do you have any other interesting thoughts that you would like to share with the group? Let me know in those comments down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and if you really like what you see on the channel, make sure to become a member like Chloe, Robert, Mab and Dakota, and Shapeshift Gaming. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all later.